Evening, everyone. Happy Thursday. It is March 3rd, 2011. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Hope you had a wonderful day and had a chance to check out some of the other great shows here on AmericanFreedomRadio.com, like Casper Leach, Time for Hemp, beginning at noon Central, Truth Jihad Radio, 1 p.m. Central, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with the Truther Girls on Tuesday and Thursday in that time slot. 3 to 5 p.m., of course, is James Burns of Freedom Files, and 5 to 7 p.m., the Vinnie Eastwood Show. We also have a new show coming to the network. Barry Cooper will be starting this Monday night, or coming Monday night, following our show, and of course Tuesday, Thursday, followed by Freeman Radio, and Wednesday Project Camelot, and Friday hopefully Dr. John Waterman, but stay tuned, check the schedule at AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Tonight we are going to be continuing the discussion of what are angels, demons, and elementals. Who are they? How can you let them help you? How do you tell the good ones from the bad ones? What does electromagnetic frequency spectrum, math, and geometry have to do with angels? And why aren't most humans letting their angels help them? Well, I'm still looking for him, so I guess I'm one of those humans guilty of that. Joining us tonight and every Thursday is Tobias Lars. He is a personal awakening coach and soul counselor, also the author of Listening to the Sun and Awakening Souls. CourseOfAwakening.com is one of the websites, or InnerBodyAwakening.com. We talk about that here, of course, just an enjoyable, comforting method for becoming more aware of your inner body or etheric body. And the alchemy process is just a wonderful video he set up that can help kind of dissolve, set free, transform, old, stuck, uncomfortable energy, be it physical, emotional, or spiritual. And if you go to his website, alchemyprocess.com, I just saw a little note that says every month, as time permits, he's going to work with 5 people who order the alchemy process. He's going to personally work with them. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing. The alchemy process is only $24.95. And you are going, if you're one of the 5 that puts a little note in your email when you sign up, that he will personally work with you to learn the alchemy process. So good deal there, but it is that time. We're going to be right back. Tobias Lars on Truth Brigade Radio. All right, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. If you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. What are angels tonight with Tobias Lars, alchemyprocess.com. Don't forget to go there and check out that incredible special. And innerbodyawakening.com is the website. So good to have you here this Thursday, Tobias. How you doing tonight?
Hi, Christie. Thanks for having me on. I always love it.
Hi, Tobias. Awesome. Well, I'm excited we get to continue this discussion. We kind of, I guess barely scratched the surface again and had a lot of great callers. So I want to thank you for that. But, let's talk about this angel topic. Of course, we want to try to answer who are they or what are they. And, I came across some information. Let me see what this is called. Oh, The Secret Teachings of All the Ages. And they were talking about angels and what, I guess, certain views of them. And it says here that the Rosicrucians and the Illuminati, describing angels, archangels, and other celestial creatures, declared that they resembled small suns, being centers of radiant energy surrounded by streamers of violet force. From these outpouring of streamers of force is derived the popular belief that angels have wings. These wings are corona-like fans of light by means of which the celestial creatures propel themselves through the subtle essences of the superphysical worlds. Then it goes on to say that true mystics, whatever that is, but they say true mystics are unanimous in their denial of the theory that angels and archangels are human in form, as so often pictured. A human figure would be utterly useless in the ethereal substances through which they manifest, and science has long debated the probability of the other planets being inhabited, but objections to the idea are based on the argument that creatures with human organisms could not possibly exist in the environments of Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune. Of course, this argument fails to take into account nature's universal law of adjustment to environment. We've heard a lot of wonderful stories, including last week, people calling in and talking about angels in human form. And, I think there's even a song, What If God Was One of Us? And so we hear these stories all the time. So maybe we can kind of, talk about what they are or what they aren't.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty accurate a lot in there. The first lines where it talks about them being like little suns, I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not only how the angels do it. We do that same thing about that the rays. See, it's all different ways of experiencing the same thing. You can experience it as pure energy. You can experience it with a form. They take a shape or a form, just like us humans. Ultimately in the causal world, we are really just either points of light or balls of light. And I like that concept there, and that feels real to me, absolutely. When the rays of the light reach out, that's sort of like a finger of energy that can pull you in that direction,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And here's one thing I want to say. Whether it's secret societies or whatever, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because physics is physics on how these things work.
Yes.
And generally they're not, we've pictured them, the traditional depiction of, beings with wings, that's one form. But forms are completely malleable at a certain point. And, for example, a good friend of mine sees spirit beings as their forms. They'll wear clothes, and I've always seen them simply as the balls of light and energetic points, vortexes, the round pieces of light. And that, I think, is in a sense a fundamental shape. What's the first shape of the universe? It's round. What's the basic shape? Suns and planets are round spheres. And so I agree with the first two lines there, that they are little suns, absolutely. And because the sun is like an onion, you get many, many layers of dimensions within that sphere. The deeper you go to the core, and then paradoxically, too, some scientists, a black hole at its deepest core becomes a white light, a white hole on another universe. It's pouring light into something, or energy, and on one side it's pulling it all in. Mm-hmm. And so I agree with some of that. And there can be misuse, but a lot of the work that, as we know, a lot of things are started with good intentions, and then they get co-opted and stolen, So a lot of these secret societies, some of them that have been stolen by what we might call dark Illuminati, originally weren't. They were well-intentioned experiments about trying to help the planet, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So don't freak out.
I think it's significant that, you know, the churches and I think most all religions and even secret societies, they all agree that angels do exist. And, of course, even demons and elementals, which we talked about last week, where the early church fathers put the elementals and nature spirits under, you know, one label of the banner of what we call demons today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And not necessarily so. If you wanted to, it depends on who's telling history. It's sort of like, you know,
his story.
The victor, exactly. The victor tells his story, and that becomes history. Whoever is in charge is going to, I mean, Muammar Gaddafi is, you know, telling his story, and other people are telling their story. It's all sides of a story. It's all stories. And depending on who you are, what perspective, and where you're observing, what you're believing, you create good and bad guys or good and bad situations, you know. But if Hitler had won the war, you know, we'd be telling the glories of how we finally got it right and created a 1,000-year kingdom on earth, you know. Mm-hmm. So, and in a sense, God is not judgmental. I mean, there are things that are outside of the natural flow of energies of natural law, but in a sense, and I know this shocks some people, God doesn't judge, you know. It is. We are exploring different energetic ways of being. Now, in my opinion, there seems to be some basic rules. You know, like if you start imprisoning and enslaving other souls, it's not the universe is God's way. And so if those souls call for help, you know, and they have the right to tell you to back off. We're not meant to trespass on one another. Trespassing is me trespassing into your energies and controlling your energies. So even Jesus says that in the you know, the Our Father, that forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. See, the forgiveness gets rid of it. The forgiveness is the reset button. It dissolves all the history. But so, I just wanted to point that out. It becomes a matter of science at a certain point. Is it a demon? Yeah, if the Catholic Church, and I'm not picking on them, I had a beautiful client today who is Catholic, but a mystic Catholic, and it's very beautiful. There's good and bad in everything. It's in the spirit of how it's done. We know a general respect for others, a general appreciation for others, and respecting nature and caring about it and each other. We know what that feels like if that's what we want. But some souls have as their job to come here and trespass on others and you know, be, quote, demonic. But for example,
where did they get that idea? How does it happen?
Well, I think it's actually a form of denial. It's sort of like, you know, when one thing we know now in when people have terrible wounds, or if they've had gangrene or frostbite, and you know, they have a wound, for example, let's say a frostbite victim, where that flesh has been, the cells have burst and it's putrefying, it's just bad. We actually will put leeches and maggots on that wound, and those maggots know exactly to eat only the dead flesh. You can Google it. It's being used by a few radical hospitals, or, you know, regular hospitals, because they know exactly to eat only the dead flesh and then remove it perfectly and then leave only the stop exactly where the cells get healthy. Much better, much finer than a crude surgeon's scalpel, which will sort of hack away a lot of good skin as well. My point here is, when we have denial, i.e. gangrene or death or something that is dead on us, then these denial spirits, these demonic spirits, will come and sort of feed on that part of you to get you to wake up, you know? Because that shows you, if someone is an enabler, and this is a harsh lesson, let's say, you know, someone's child becomes a crack addict, They'll lie, cheat, steal, say anything, manipulate mommy. You're my mommy. You should help me. You should take care of me. And then they'll steal and sell your TV out from under you. You know, This is a harsh wake-up call on how to learn to be appropriate with certain energies. And feeding certain energies is not healthy. And so that reflection that those parents might get, I know this is controversial for some people, will go away as soon as they get what Don Juan calls impeccable. When you're impeccable, meaning you're on it with your energy. You don't enable others. You don't let people vampire feed on your energy. You don't overgive. You don't try to help people against their will. You do it the way Source, the Tao, God, a true master teacher does it. They know when to exactly help, and they know when not to help. And this confuses a lot of people. We think, well, why isn't God helping that 10-year-old blind child? You know, what kind of cruel God would allow this to happen? And we don't understand, why does Jesus curse the fig tree? Why do, kids die in car accidents? And why do seemingly very bad things happen? If you look deeper, there is a seed of denial, of darkness, of dead energy inside us that you can only be fed upon. No one can take advantage of you against your will. I know that's harsh, but it's like it takes two to tango. It's simply spiritual physics. And I know, everyone will bring up child molestation instantly and go, how does that allow it to happen? That's a defenseless child, etc., and so forth. But what I'm suggesting here is the reason denial has occurred in the world is because it is a place where we are dead. And we can undo it by fulfilling, thy whole body shall be full of light. When we can reawaken and become conscious in all the parts of our energies, then it's just like when you realize I'm in a pattern where I've let people take advantage of me. As soon as you realize and wake up and you find the underlying cause and say, I no longer need their approval no matter what, for example, then they'll quit feeding on you. They'll move on and find someone else to feed on, It's like the woman who finally wakes up and goes, I don't need to be with an alcoholic partner. And I see why it has to do with me feeling I can't find someone else, or my daddy told me I'd amount to nothing, or whatever it is. It's unique for everybody. When we stop having a target of dead energy in us, then these things cannot feed on us. Another example is this. You can only have a corrupt government as long as the people are asleep at the wheel. As soon as we, like Benjamin Franklin says, you get the government you deserve. If you're wanting to have the big, feed off the system and have the government save you from nature, then you're going to be horribly tortured. If you don't want to take care of your own health, you're going to have doctors that feed you prescription pills and just, they're just going to give you what your denial wants. I can understand both sides of that. Doctors can say, look, we tell people to exercise and eat right. They don't want to. They don't care. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They want miracle cures. And then the people will say, these doctors are abusing me. They're just feeding me horrible pharmaceuticals. Well, it takes two to tango, because God is bigger than doctors. I'm sorry to tell, but look, no one heals anything. So if you want to complain, and it's a harsh wake-up call. It's harsh for us, We have horrible diseases, cancer, Parkinson's, etc. But so these denial spirits can only maggots can only exist if there's some food for them. If there's no food for maggots, they don't exist. Denial spirits that come feed upon us humans cannot exist if we don't have something for them to feed on. Mm-hmm. That's how it is. And that's harsh to say, but how can I wake up that, you can. We're children of the source. We can wake up. Just because no one else has done it, most of us have accepted, well, this is just how it is, death and taxes. Mm-hmm. So funny. Death and taxes, neither one are real, True master, you can literally accelerate your energy to the point where you can walk through death. Jesus says that overcoming death, Teshua ben David, other masters, Yogananda Babaji, you can set your energy free to that level. So, but the more you program us, death and taxes are inevitable, we believe it. Neither, of course. Taxes is the biggest scam going. That's completely illegal. if you research it at all, you know. And death is also a complete lie. Death is actually an angel. The being that helps us during death is an actual angel. He is the transition angel, he or she. They don't really have sex the way we have it, angels. And we've become scared of this angel of transformation. You know, we're scared of change. We're scared of things shifting. We think if we can stay in my little hovel and avoid things changing in my life, I can feel secure, and all that does is make you feel more and more insecure. Then finally we realize I just got to jump in the river and let it take me where it takes me, you know. So the angel of death is not some hooded figure with bony hands pointing at you, scaring the bejeebies out of you. That's only there because we're projecting our fear onto him. He's actually a very beautiful angel of transformation. And the only reason there's fear around it is because we've avoided things we need to look at inside ourselves. And I know this is a tall order. I'm not saying it's easy for everybody. You know, it's very tough to wake up. We're going from being manic, crazy, stuck, addicted. We are government addicts. No.
Very good, Tobias. I'm so sorry it's that time, though, so hold that right there. We are going to be right back. Stay tuned. Tobias Lars on Truth Brigade Radio. All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Tobias Lars tonight, talking about angels. What are they? Who are they? If you have any questions, please give us a call at 402-237-2525. And if you'd like to join us on the text chat, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. Tobias, you're on fire, so please continue.
So, where were we, Christie?
The angel of death, and and the wake-up calls, and
this brings us to the topic of the angels are functions. They are almost mechanical functions, some of them. In some traditions, there's an angel for every hour of the day. We might have talked about this sometime in the past, in the last show. But so there isn't an elemental energy is another way to say it. It's a function. It's when you have space-time, you need to have space and time. Well, that's a creation. You know, space-time is not in the non-existent void. Is there such a thing? How can something be nothing and not be? There is no space and time. Space and time are creations of God or consciousness, if you will. And since we are pieces of it, we can participate in manipulating time and space. There's yogic powers described. You can become as small as the smallest thing or as large as the largest thing. And Patanjali talks about it clearly in his Yoga Sutras. Because we, as children or pieces of the source, we also have these powers. But so angels are not beings as humans. The angel of death, we call him death, but it's really the angel of transformation. When we started playing with form, in other words, a physical form, a shape, a form, three-dimensional forms, that form, when it goes back to pure energy or just a point of light or just a ball of light, in a sense we will pop our physical form the way a bubble pops. When a bubble pops, it doesn't disappear, but it pops that form and it goes into droplets, yeah? If you could slow it down in a high-speed camera. Yeah. So when we're popping we're meant to pop our form. We're not meant to die and leave the body behind. All energy is simply energy, quantum physics now, and we all know, Einstein's famous equation, E equals mc squared, is saying that energy equals matter times a giant constant, the speed of light. But energy and matter are interchangeable. There really is just an energy soup. Each cell in our bodies is mostly space. To give you an idea of how much nothing we are, Next time someone tells you you're a nothing, you can go, yeah, right on. I like that. I am actually. I'm mostly nothing. Each atom is simply a cloud of energy. I mean, for the Heisenberg is an electron has two parts, that it can be solid or it can be a wave of energy. If you see light, is it a solid thing, light? No, it's not solid. It's some kind of strange radio wave, electromagnetic wave. Mm-hmm. So, the angel of death, if you will, is helping us. When we started the game of creating forms, we took our energy and made forms out of it. Look, I have a physicalized form, or even an energetic form, an energy body form, in the astral worlds and other dimensions. In my house are many mansions, Jesus says. I would suggest that's about different frequency levels, like different radio stations. Mm. And so we were meant to, here's my form, and this is why in the stories from every tradition, Zoroastrians, the Hindu traditions, the Buddhist traditions, Jesus, the angels or the beings appear as these beings of light, and then they disappear in a flash of light. They disappear in a flash of light. Yeah. They're popping the form. So that this angel was our midwife. At the moment of popping the form, you need to let go. It's sort of like a birth. If the woman completely lets go and lets it happen, it seems to be a lot easier than if she thinks she has to push and do it her way, If you let the pushing happen by itself, then things just flow. If you get your mind in there thinking you're in charge, you mess it up. So we're meant to birth ourselves at the moment of death as well. Birth is birth. It's a form change. It's entering a new world. It's entering a different frequency. So this, quote, angel of transformation was meant to be our midwife at the moment of popping. And this is in the book, and you've probably read it, Christie. But, yes. And I asked him one day, what is this? This is why I was so scared of death. So tell me more. And we can all ask. We all have access to Daddy's library, to Mommy's library. They will give us a free access card. We can all know how all things work. All things shall come to light, meaning we shall understand all things. There's nothing wrong with that. And we've been told this stupid story of, oh, no, you're not supposed to know that. Just be quiet and follow the rules. Mm-hmm. No, we can know all of it. So the angel of transformation between physical and other dimensions, he's not a scary figure. He is an assistant. He wants to help us at the moment when we let go. How does the soul create the body, Wouldn't you think
let me ask you this, Tobias. I totally understand what you're saying about the popping the form. In fact, I've actually physically seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. So let me ask you this. As we posed in the first segment, could one of us actually be that angel of death, quote unquote, or angel of transformation? Or does it have to be simple? I mean, is it always just an energetic type form? I mean, and that's kind of silly because I know we're all just energy anyways. So I guess this is kind of ripping the veils off of what we think we know when talking about this. But I've seen that. And you said just a minute ago that we're not meant to leave our physical body behind, but yet we do. And even when I've seen the soul, or I don't even know what to call it, I'll just say an energy form pop at that moment of transition. So, could any of us be one of these angels at certain times of our life?
That's a good question, I think the universe is not static and stuck. Everyone doesn't stay in the 6th grade and repeat it over and over and over and over again.
Well, because I'm thinking to other life forms, we might be, we probably are just as alien as, we think other beings are that we don't, recognize or resonate with or something. And, I'll just, speak for myself. Yeah. I just happen to be there. I don't know. Animals were dying, and they came to me. I just always happened to be there at the moment of death, and it wasn't necessarily always at my door. Sometimes it was in the road, and, things I had absolutely nothing to do with. And it almost felt like they were holding on until I got there, until I was able to hold them and let them know it was okay. And I know it's kind of a weird question, but maybe to those raccoons or deer or whoever, maybe we're the angels of death or transformation.
Certainly a assistant. We can assist others and make them comfortable and take them sort of by the hand until they hit the big angel of death, I would suggest. But I think also we can become. I had a woman come to our weekly meeting just recently who does this for people. She is a hospice midwife, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They call her with people that are having a very hard time transitioning, and she literally can see into the other dimensions and will sort of take them by the hand and show them this is where to go. And then once they see it, and then usually we as souls remember, because we've died, most of us, many times before.
Yeah.
We go, oh, now I remember this. It's like we forgot. And once we remember that, I just follow this and go, I just go with this flow. Then her job is done. I think there is a larger angel of death that is sort of in charge of that on this planet.
Yeah, I'm certainly not saying I'm an angel or an angel of death or anything like that, but, it does make me think, what if these raccoons maybe they have an American Freedom Radio, and they're talking about their experiences, and they're popping their forms or dying, and there just happen to be this really weird, alien figure, 6 foot block or whatever. And so I'm just, maybe... maybe
I agree.
all of us play that role.
I agree. No, Joy used to freak out that cats would come on her property or other animals would come on the property to die. And I used to tell her, look, it means it's very safe here. They can relax and be safe so they can go through the transition here. We've, in general, as a culture, we're terrified of death, where really it is a liberator. It's really popping your limitations. And I know it sounds crazy and far out to most people. Take your body with you. This guy's a lunatic. That's impossible. Why? Who has said that if all energy is energy, who has said that the energy coalesced in our physical bodies should remain so? And I'm going to suggest this. The reason we come back and incarnate is because we left some of our energies behind when we die. When you ascend, when you can ascend and you transmute all your body, including the physical, into this light of freedom, free light, free energy, then you can have a choice. And I think Joshua ben David says it in the Bible. He says, to him or her that overcometh, now this is a massive translation thing, but they shall no longer go out, but become a pillar in the temple of God. Becoming a pillar in the temple of God might be that we become a stanchion, a function, a solid piece of the larger creation. We no longer have to go out. We don't have to reincarnate again when we have overcome death. I don't like the language there, but it's sort of like you've made friends with death again. Death is your friend. And by the way, he doesn't want to be called death. Death is a word we made up that's like something bad. How about angel of transformation, angel of liberation, angel of form change? The angel of form, the angel master of forms and form change is rather a better description of the function of what we've come to call the angel of death. So I say the reason we reincarnate is because when you leave a piece of your body behind here, that's your energy. You didn't borrow it. You didn't steal it from the earth and said, I'm done with it now. You take care of it, No. That's not how it works. It's like we don't get to dump.
We're just trying to be helpful.
We're not allowed to dump our garbage on other beings. It's not how it works. You can't. What if someone came by and said, look, here's my horrible, family, and I've raised these kids horribly, and now I'm just going to leave them with you, and I'm taking off. That's the cuckoo bird who puts his egg in someone else's nest. It's just not appropriate in the way we've set this up. So we're not allowed to dump our energy. We're not allowed to come down here and spread toxic energies on Mother Earth, and just by how we are in our system, and feel all this negativity, and then I'll just die and leave it for Mother Earth to clean up. That's not how it works. When you get to the other side, you get a life review that says, look, here's what happened, here's what you did, and you kind of go, oh, yeah. Only the most stubborn and inveterate souls who don't want to take any responsibility don't go through a life review. If you go to the other side and you refuse to look at anything that you've done in this lifetime, you immediately reincarnate into another plane. Like, if you don't want to listen, you don't have to, but you can't escape the cycle of go back and clean up your mess. Go back and clean up your mess. It's not even like that. It's just physics. You're attracted back to your own stuff.
Okay, so maybe unconsciously we're choosing that because we're not quite ready. I think we're going to talk about this more. This is starting to make a lot of sense, though, Tobias. So hold that right there. Stay tuned, everyone. We will be right back. Tobias Lars on Truth Brigade Radio. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Tobias Lars tonight. He is author of Listening to the Sun and Awakening Souls, which you can find at soulcounseling.com. And Tobias, okay, let me make sure I understand this, because I know we're told that we choose to reincarnate, we choose to come back here, and really, some days are better than others, but there's been a lot of those days where it's like, are you serious? Why would anybody in their right mind choose to come back to this plane? And so, of course, you mentioned about energy attachments, which makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm wondering, are we consciously making that decision, or perhaps we made that decision unconsciously just by the mere fact of us not wanting to know, us not wanting to review our lives, as you just said in the last segment? Could that be part of it? That because we chose not to do that, then unconsciously we made the choice to keep coming back and repeat this vicious cycle?
It's just like any other denial. If someone is denying what they're doing, then you need to join the army and have someone tell you what to do. If you don't take responsibility, I'm teasing there a little bit, but you know what I mean? It all has its place. If you can't run your own life, then someone will need to run it for you. And so there is a system of physics, of spiritual and regular physics, that sort of runs the universe. And when you pop your form here, and if you're semi-conscious on the other side when you arrive, or when you arrive in the other dimensions, you'll be greeted by your loving relatives. You'll understand things that you've known already but forgot while on your sojourn here. But if you're very rebellious and saying, I hate the world and I didn't do anything wrong, or I just want to feed up, you're sort of working on complete selfishness is one way to say it, where you not divine selfishness, which is fine, but you're abusing the situation. You're a spiritual crack dealer, abusing people. Then you may not get a life review. You'll just get sort of do not pass go immediately back into a body somewhere in a situation that you've created. It's just physics. It's physics. Other people
let me ask you this, though. You brought up another question. You said that, when we do pass and we might see our friends and family or, whatever, isn't it possible, though, that even that can be not what we think it is? I mean, is it possible that things that are used when we cross over, like, let's say, family members or whatever we're attached to, that even that itself can be a trick to try to get us to go back?
Not for someone who's aware and can tell what's real from Memorex. It cannot be used against you. If you have your heart, if you have your intuition, your solar plexus, and your heart open somewhat, just a little bit, then you'll be able to tell who's real and who's not. You'll tell mimicking spirits from the real thing. certainly it does happen that you can be completely fooled. It's sort of like fake alien abductions. People think because with aliens they were really these whatever, they're my labs or whatever you call them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can all be faked, but only when you're not aware, in touch with yourself, and you can't tell what's real from memory. Yeah, you can be completely manipulated and played with and used and abused. For most people, when we pass, the angel of transformation helps us pop into the other side, and then we're met by all kinds of beings, which is our customized breeding crew. There will be beings that help run the show. Often they're very tall, and some describe them as angels, and others as just tall beings, and they're sort of in charge. And then we might listen and go, oh, I see, I understand now, I understand what I did that and how that works, and they'll say, you have a choice now. You can go back. Sometimes with a near-death experience, there's a choice nowadays more and more. Do you want to go back? If you're not at the end of your life, if it's through some accident. But if it's the end of your life, then you will often have a choice for how long you stay, up to a certain point. And it's actually that we want to go back. Because from that eternal perspective, we realize, I'm going to go back down there for 80 years. I'm going to set it up with these parents, and I'm going to run into this other friend, and so on. Because I want to reclaim my energy. Because really, it's a lot more fun when you have a lot more energy. When you have your energy set free and you're a master of the universe, so to speak, it's a lot more fun than if you cut off your leg and left it behind or hobbling around on the other side. So it's actually us that when you're sort of gotten to a point where you're willing to see, then it's a conscious decision of, I want to go back. But until you get to that point, and if you're just a rebellious, or damaged spirit, then it happens more on automatic. And then at a certain point, you've liberated all your energy, and you're friends with what we call the angel of death and all transitional angels. You don't have to do anything. And that's when Jesus says, you don't have to go out again. You can stay here. And it sounds like some kind of gated community like we've joked about before. But anyway, I hear the music.
Okay. All right, Tobias, hold that right there. And InnerBodyAwakening.com or AlchemyProcess.com is the website. Tobias Lars on Truth Brigade Radio. Stay tuned. We'll see you at the top of the hour. Back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Top of the second hour with St. Tobias of Sedona, as he's been named on the text chat. Tobias, we just have a few short minutes this segment, so please continue.
Yeah, that scares me right there. I don't even understand.
I love it. It's so fitting. Oh, he changed it to Sedona. Sedona. Yeah, okay. St. Tobias of Sedona.
Yeah, St. Tobias with allergies today. That shows you how totally in charge I am. It seems that we get challenges. I just changed venues. Anyway, and I can feel my allergic reaction, and that keeps us humble. So that what I do with it is I'll get more inward and sit and feel and listen with my intuition. What do I need to eat? What do I not need to eat? What can I take for this? And sometimes it's just plain sort of if I find if I judge something too much, then the universe has a sense of humor. It makes sure I not judge it. So if I judge, people that can't control their allergies, then I get a dose of it myself. I've sat in meditations where I can feel my mind judging people, and I've literally had their cough translate into my body. It's sort of God playing a trick with me, or these teachers saying, really, you're judging them? There you go. You get what they get. And that's also a law of spiritual physics. And maybe that's what Jesus' Jeshua ben David is trying to say, judge not lest ye be judged. I've experienced that instant karma, as John Lennon called it, So, anyway, that's going on a little bit for me tonight, if you can hear it, But what we were talking about, so it's, if we're open, then we can be more in charge of ourselves. If we're on the other side, then we get a conscious life review. And if we're completely hateful and don't want to be here and rebellious, which I understand, we can all end up in that place, there for the grace of God go I, then often the reincarnation cycle is just physics. I don't want to hear anything, then you're going to learn the hard way. And it just, in a sense, it's like punching the wall. The wall is going to win. If you bang your head against the wall is going to win.
So if we do have choice, though, can we choose to be an angel or a demon or an elemental?
Humans have the peculiar choice of creating ourselves, in a sense, since we are pieces of the source, pieces of God, children of God. We can choose to create ourselves into demons. We can become very reactionary and anti-life and hateful of everything that's living and become really dark spirits. And we can also become very powerful, very enjoyable, very full of pleasure, enjoyment, light, love, spirits as well. Humans have choice. We have a choice.
Okay. So, all right. Now, when or how do we make this choice? Is it, does somebody sit us down and say, hey, here's the rules, here's your options? Or is it just this lifelong progress, path of transformation, maybe hundreds or millions or dozens or whatever of lives over and over before we finally figure it out for ourselves?
I would suggest there was a descent where we descended from oneness.
Okay, I'm sorry, Tobias. It's that time. Bad timing on the question. So hold that right there, and we'll answer that when we come back from this short break. Stay tuned, everyone. Tobias Lars on Truth Brigade Radio. All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. If you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. What are angels is the topic tonight with Tobias Lars, who is a soul counselor and the creator of Course of Awakening, which you can find at courseofawakening.com. And Tobias, if you could, please, so how do we do this? Is it by repeating it over and over again until we come to self-realization, or is there some kind of school, or, does God sit us down somewhere in the universe and say, these are the rules, now go have fun and play, kids?
Both, and all of the above. I think it's, as souls, as when we're first made, we're sort of like babies. Babies are pretty perfect, They're pretty open, and we are formed as created souls. We have, this is a huge topic, these are things we don't even ask about, but here on Earth, a lot of the descension, we've descended into being caught in physicality and caught between the veil, so we can't walk in and out of being pure energy bodies or physical bodies. There's a cutoff. The 3 bottom steps to the stairway to heaven have crashed, so we can't really, there's a break there. And so we've gotten caught, in a sense. We've forgotten these natural abilities. My father came back to me after he passed, and he shared with me, he said, I can't believe I forgot how things really work, And I could feel him in these other electromagnetic frequencies, these other heavens, these other dimensions. And he had been a super scientist, and we had never talked about spiritual stuff. So it was very interesting, for him, when he's telling me, he goes, I can't believe I forgot that this is the real thing, and what we do on Earth is real too, but it's not the whole picture. And so I think we have descended and forgotten who we are, and then as you get enough pain, enough feeling trapped, you call out and say, I want to, if there's a God out there, if there's something more wise, or show me how things work, And then when we call out as humans, then we get lots of help in many, many different ways. The help can often look like terrible hardship, right? But waking up...
Well, that kind of sucks because, I mean, I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but and maybe we're just not listening, but... I mean, I know myself, I've cried out. It's like, hello, dude, God, angels, whatever. If you're real, hello, come help now. But now you're telling us that one of those answers could be more suffering?
And now and you know when you get real, Christie, and when we all get real, we have gotten lots of help. It's just that it isn't the way we thought it should look, or it isn't coming in the way we think it should come with giant symbols, and someone should knock on the door and sit down and write it out for us, or give us a DVD from God, you know. It's like we have ideas of how it should work. You can't guilt trip the source of the universe into doing it the way you think it should be done. It doesn't work. So you can't demand. It's sort of like a kid who stands in front of the fridge and demands their mommy, you make me a sandwich now. Mm-hmm. You know, we can all tell that's not really that healthy. So when we do that with our parents, Mother God, Father God, they react the same way, basically saying, you know, you need a timeout.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's very similar, you know. Sincerity, but we know, I know people that, you know, they'll say, well, I get no help at all. I call out. I get no confirmation, nothing. Really? So what was that? And then I asked them some more. And what happened last week? Well, I did have this thing did happen. I did get a free check back from the doctor's office that I wasn't expecting. Oh, okay. So that was, you know, you forgot that. Or, yeah, you're right. After I thought about that, someone called and said, you know, I have this remedy for this. And it was exactly what I've been thinking of. Oh, okay. That was just a coincidence. That was no help from the universe. The thing is, we're helped, all of us, all the time. And we tend to take it for granted, or we have spiritual amnesia about it. You have to approach it on its own terms. You can't stand in front of the universe and say, do it my way. And if you don't appear right now, right here, my way, I don't believe in you. You know, that's kind of temper tantrum, you know. It doesn't, you know, it's not really good. It doesn't work. So we've all been helped tons. We've all been helped tons. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't be frustrated. Yeah, frustration and irritation and anger is all good. They help us to search more, you know, until we get to a place where we don't need to learn the hard way. But my experience is, and I'm very grateful, thank you, God, for not listening to any of my devious manipulations, and that you don't change the plan just because I come up with, quote, a better idea of how the universe should be run. You know.
Yeah. Thankfully, there is something much bigger and much smarter than us, huh? Because, I mean, I don't even really know if our feeble minds can even comprehend. You know, I know there's times, and I'll just speak for myself, where that help is there, or those answers you're looking for are there, but we're just not ready to view it. We don't have, you know, maybe the proper sunglasses on, or the proper sensors or receptors, and I thank God that I'm not the one making all the decisions.
That's right. It's like those sunglasses that were called blue blockers. They block the blue light. So a lot of us are wearing angel blockers and God blockers and grace blockers, and we have spiritual amnesia, and our minds are stuck on, no, that didn't really happen. I've seen so much in my life, miracles happen. I mean, manifestations that people just block out perfectly. We have perfect blocking out mechanisms, you know. We have magic blockers on our that we're wearing, you know. I remember I've seen people block out UFO craft. They're as plain as day, and they're like, what are you talking about? Nothing happened. You know. Well,
what does that do to Tobias? I know, because one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is how we can let them help us, and of course why we aren't letting, or why most humans aren't letting their angels help them. So why are we blocking that out? What does that do to, and of course, what can we do about it?
It's sort of like this. If you have let's say your dog, or you get a foxtail, some plant that has horrible little stickers on it, if you get that stuck somewhere in you, it's pretty painful to just yank that right out, right? Like pull it backwards, it's like, like a foxtail gets in your dog's ear. You have to, be careful with getting it out. You can't just yank it real hard. It digs in really hard.
Yes, prickly pears hurt too.
Yeah, prickly pears too, right? Yeah. Yes, if you get overly enthusiastic, well, the javelina can eat the prickly pear, so can I.
Yeah, the goats can eat the mugwort or the nettles. Why not?
Yeah, but so if we have a belief in us that says, and it can be a subconscious belief, and this is where it gets funky, because on the surface we might say, I'm ready to see everything, but we're not really. If we have a belief that, this doesn't exist and it will actually scare us and threaten our ego on a deep level, then and I've done this, I've been guilty of it, if you force the visions on people, if you force the energy on people, it's actually like pulling a foxtail through their nose or through their brain. It hurts them, because you're forcing that energy that's in the way. Let's say we have a belief and an idea, and it's an energetic system. Beliefs are energetic patterns sitting in our cells. And if that belief says angels aren't real, and if you shove a real experience on those people, it has to pull that energy belief out of them. It pushes them out of them. It's like energetic rape. You're forcing it. So, if we've been trained by the society, this is real, this isn't, you just can't if you impose it on people, when masters do it, the graceful thing is what happens is the beings that aren't ready to handle that, powerful light or seeing into other dimensions, they go to sleep. They just sort of get knocked out. And I've seen that multiple times. With myself, too. I've experienced when I got knocked out, and later I came to and realized, I get a little glimpse of what happened. But, if you get a sense of it, if you force someone to learn something before they're ready, it's like spiritual rape in boot camp. And that's not the way God and Spirit works. You can't do it that way. So you have to start exactly where they're at. You can only give us the food our next level of food that we can handle. The next level of awakening, This is why we have the stories of no one can open the ark and, survive, or they can't look upon the light of God and survive. It's true. It's true. It's like 1,000 watts through our 50-watt light bulbs is not going to work, It's way too much. You just pop. So often there is something that we're ready to receive on a subconscious spiritual level, but our conscious mind is not ready to see, hear, and understand. So often our conscious mind will simply go to sleep because we're divided humans. Right now, we're divided. Most of us have no clue what's going on in our subconscious. We just exist in this thin neocortex up in our frontal lobes on top of our brain, and everything else is just this mysterious, submerged subconscious. That's why we need to sleep, because we need to go off into our subconscious and rest, in a sense. But so when we're not seeing these other kingdoms, the devas, the fairies, the angels, you can notice it with people. They'll say, I'm ready, but it will push them and make them nervous and scared on a level that they're not in touch with. And true masters, true shamans, true spirits, and certainly God himself, God herself, will not push you beyond what you're ready to see, because it actually creates more problems for you. It sort of like re-traumatizes you. You need to take the next possible step of opening, and even that is terrifying enough. Our next step is always terrifying. It's like you have to let go of who you thought you were so you can become this new being. You might have to get divorced. My God, that's traumatic for people. You may have to lose all your money. You may have to learn to live with lots of money. That's traumatic for a lot of people. A lot of people that are really wealthy are like, oh my God, I wish I could go back to those first 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years when we were building the company. It was so much fun. We were on a mission, and now I got all this crap to deal with. Yeah, I got $100 million, but my kids hate me, blah, 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 you know? So you have to take it the next step what you're ready to do. And so you cannot force the vision of God on people. It is really like spiritual rape. It actually hurts souls. It actually hurts us. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I read something just yesterday. Somebody wrote a little note on Facebook, and it was about, so many of us want to resist change no matter how it comes, and he brought up some examples about when people go to prison or go to the military or things like that, and they vow that this is not going to change me, and he suggested that let it change you. Let these experiences change you. Don't fight it, because that's where the transformation is. So no matter where you might be in life, I guess we're there for a reason, and to, I guess you said what you resist persists. So,
yeah.
Stop resisting and let it change you. We're meant to evolve, thankfully.
Well, yes, of course. That nature doesn't say, I'm never going to change, I'm never going to change, I'm never going to change.
This tree is so beautiful, it's never going to grow another leaf because it's perfect exactly the way it is.
That would become a plastic dead tree that you could buy that would eventually give you cancer because of the carcinogenic plastic chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun program. So absolutely, learning to flow with it is the only solution we have. And the truth of it is, it's a loving flow. That when we resist, it hurts. It's, again, like birth. The more a woman can relax and let herself be breathed and the energy do it through her, the more painless the birth. The more she thinks she needs to be in control and be in charge of it, or bypass it altogether, just cut me open and yank the baby out of me. I don't need, and just drug me up. I don't want to feel a thing, which is amazing. We do millions of those type of births. What kind of entrances into this world is that for the child? The natural setup, whoever designed the whole thing knows what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And the only choice we have the choice to fight it, but fighting it is just draining. It's just heartbreaking. It sucks, And that's what Buddhists talk about, surrender. Surrender to God's plan for you. Then you'll have a lot more fun, And it's scary, but change is gonna come. It's gonna come. And you just, thank you, Bob Dylan. What? You're gonna stop everything, go freeze frame? I don't want anything to ever change again? That's crazy. We're insane trying to do that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'll be rich, you'll be poor, you'll have horrible things happen, you'll have beautiful things happen, Find the center within all of it. We can. The Buddhist Dharma. Go to the center of the wheel. You can still enjoy life. Do things, I know Bentley's going to die, my dog. I love him. What am I going to do? Oh, I'm not going to get a dog because he's going to die. No, that's crazy. But that's what we're doing a lot. We're playing defense. I'm going to stay in my little cubby hole. And I did a video this week for CourseOfAwakening.com called God is Not a Hoarder. God is not a hoarder. The source, the universe, doesn't hoard things. It doesn't own things. It doesn't worry about scarcity. It doesn't hoard a big pile and just sit on it. That's not how nature works. That's not how God works. And that's not how we're meant to work either. Life becomes fun when it's in the flow, when you're doing stuff. And the rest is some kind of... everybody knows the drunk guy in the car accident, doesn't get hurt at all, and the poor people that stiffened up at the car accident, they get all their bones broken, right?
Yeah.
So that guy, he's drunk, but he's more relaxed. He's flowing a little bit, so he doesn't get hurt. The trick is that we become consciously relaxed.
Wow. Okay, that's making a lot of sense there, Tobias, but it is that time, so hold that right there. We are going to be right back after this short break. Tobias Lars on Truth Brigade Radio. Back. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Tobias Lars tonight, talking about angels. What are they and how can we let them help us? We have a caller on the line, Tobias, but if you would, please finish up what you were saying about surrendering and why, like an accident you described, the people who are sober will be, broken into a million pieces, and the drunk driver might not be.
So resisting this flow of life is futile. We just need to accept that, and so the angel of death is our friend. This system is set up beautifully for our enjoyment. I want to get into how we can recontact or be with our angels, and it's not that hard. You need to ask. You say, well, here's Tobias talking about this tonight. If I have any angels, let me know them more closely. Let me notice. Show yourself somehow to me. Now, here's the key. Be willing to have it show up. Somehow a gift on the sidewalk as you walk. Today we were out in the mountains, and the woman that was with me, we stopped and we found this little car, like a little toy car. Perfect little toy car sitting there. And she said, that's exactly what my grandson loves. He loves those exact cars. And I said, well, that's a gift for you to bring back to him, yeah? So that often the angels will do stuff like that. And they it's just a coincidence, We're allowed to dismiss it as coincidence or have it be beyond dismissibility. I'll give you an example. Joy one year, when she had first met me, and I would talk about crazy stuff like this, and she'd look at me and go, I enjoy hanging out with you, but you're pretty wacky. Now, she wouldn't say that stuff, and I knew I was supposed to share this with her, so I would just sort of let my mouth tell everything, But she'd come out of a conservative Christian background, and here I am talking about that things can actually manifest when you ask for them, like that. There's a particular pair of pants that she'd been asking for Christmas. There's a certain type of pair of pants that, culottes, whatever they are, these half pants that women wear. And they didn't exist. They were sold out in all the stores that carried them. We're up here in Sedona, up by Andante Road, by the Green Water Tower, by Chimney Rock, by the Buddha Stupa, if people ever come here and know that. And there's a path there that we normally follow the path and walk around. For some reason, I said, we just hung out and we walked like 50 feet in the opposite direction out into the bushes, out into the chaparral, the sticky chaparral. There, on one of the bushes, you can call Joy next time I'll have her on and she'll admit it, was a pair of these pants laying on one of the bushes. And they weren't used, they didn't have any dirt on them, they were brand new.
Wow.
Now, what is the chance of that happening? She's for a week been looking for this. It's just a coincidence, or you planted them there, Tobias. She looked at me and goes, did you buy these and put them here? That's what her first thought was,
Yeah.
And so we can shut all the magic out of our lives if we want, or we can have magic like that. Isn't that pretty cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it was undeniable. And so we can interact with me. And if you're sitting there going, that means you're supposed to appear in my room at night, unfold your wings, and blow your trumpet, and have choruses of angels, and that's the only way I'm going to accept that there are angels, you're probably not going to get it. But if you start saying, I'm open to however you will make your presence known to me, through a little toy car, through a feeling, through, whatever. So ask, and then be willing and honest to admit when it happens. Because the mind will want to dismiss it and go, oh, that was no big deal, and then I want to go back to, watching TMZ while I'm eating 12 donuts and not think about it, Yeah. So ask your angels to make themselves known to you. It's like respect, People become your friends when you respect them or you have consideration for them. Do it the same way with your angels. And you can ask for help. You can ask, show yourself, I need help with this, or I just want to know you better, and start having a private little scavenger hunt with your angels or something. You know? Yeah.
Okay, Tobias, we have a couple callers on the line.
All right.
And I'm sorry, I just looked at the clock, so I appreciate your patience. Thanks so much for holding. But Russ is our first caller tonight. How you doing tonight, Russ?
I'm hanging in there. Thank you for having me on. Hi, Tobias. Hi, Christie.
Hi, Russ.
Just kind of listening, but, you know, we're talking about angels, and in the past we're talking about time travel and past lives and current lives and being not judgment, but accountable for our actions and cleaning up.
Yes.
And I found one of the awesome things with the human creature that I am, and we all are, I found there's a component in the mind that we know that it, and I want your thoughts on this, Tobias, and I'll make it quick. We know that the mind stores, we believe that the human mind is capable of storing 12,000 human lifetimes. And it stores all the information that our five senses can see and all the rest of the information that the senses can see. And it's stored there for us. Talking about time travel, there were times that I spent all of my time in the past or in the future and very rarely in the moment. And as I went down my journey and discovered the importance of mastering the moment, I discovered in the mind the ability to travel back through all of those thoughts and all those recordings. And then as I grew, there would be a new perception. So that new perception would travel all the way back down through time and bring back all the new information that new perception would glean. And in the end, I succeeded in making that journey all the way back to the birth canal. And it's amazing the crap that I gathered and created in my own choices, developing my own belief system, that I'm watching get cleared up in that process. And it's just a discovery I share. It's something that I believe each of us have. Your thoughts?
That's wonderful. That is exactly my experience, too. When I change, when I gather more of myself in the moment, take an M&M, master the moment, real M&M. Become a master of moments, you know, instead of a master of puppets, although Metallica's pretty cool. Anyway, you know, but yes, and then we literally can remember, put back together more of what happened back then, because there was a lot happens to us on every level, every moment of every moment. And so when you become more, then you remember more. You actually can recall more even in those, quote, past events. So you're doing what's called soul retrieval. You're recovering more and more of yourself. And eventually we become a complete master that way. And we have access to not only our complete past and future, but the complete past and future of the universe. This is the Akashic Records, the Book of Life. It's a very powerful technique of being absolutely present through whatever technique you use, centering prayer, simply sitting with the presence of God. You know, I recommend the Inner Body Awakening for people. It's such an easy way of doing it. Whatever meditation prayer you do, gather yourself. And sometimes that means you have to face down some trauma or some dark things and go, that piece of my soul belongs to me. Let it go. Set my people free. That's soul retrieval. We're putting ourselves back together. I completely relate to what you say. You actually remember more because you are more.
Well, and I think that, absolutely, and I think the most wonderful thing that I can be aware of in this, you know, and about what I'm talking about, is actually getting back to the point. For most of my life, I've carried something with me that's hindered me with interacting, and I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I really don't. Hopefully, not more of what yesterday was, but it hindered my communications. It hindered a lot of things. And in listening through these years and through all the studies, there's a lot of discussion. These are things that the kind of thing that hindered me was something somebody might say, oh, that's from a past life, or that's this or that's that. And in the end, what I discovered was it was just all something I did to myself in ignorance or in my nature, by whatever. Yeah. And I was able to clear it out. And I've watched a lot of that happen in myself. And I just share with the listeners that it's a tool that each of us have if we'll stop and I discovered it in the process of searching himself. It was there, and each of us have it. So anyway,
right on.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Beautiful, Russ. I love that. And you don't have to believe in past lives because it's all happening now anyway. So
I do believe in past lives. I just believe that the Creator didn't. And maybe there are rare cases. I just believe, know that He didn't send us in here crippled. Now, I mean, I believe that it goes down like we know everything on the other side. Then we're kind of wiped out. That's part of the game, is seeing how fast we can get back or whether we can. Is a part of the game. But no, I believe that I've been here before, and I believe we've been fighting this same battle for forever. And I think that we, for the first time, have tools that, at least in this cycle, we haven't had, and we actually have a chance of bringing about a different outcome than any time in the past that we've had this struggle. So that's my belief.
That sounds so good, and that is truth. And to me, what you just said, Russ, that this time we have less confusion and we can actually see practical methods and the light at the end of the tunnel. There's going to be a change is coming, you know. And yeah, very beautiful.
All those who want to get on board are welcome to join. Everybody who denies it and don't, well, I don't know what's going to happen to them. I hope it's, a little bit better than what's going on now. At any rate, thanks, guys. I got to get back to work, but I enjoy you.
Thank you, Russ.
Okay,
get on the
Russ,
soul
thanks
train
for calling in.
Get on the soul train with Russ and Tobias and Christie. Right on.
We have another caller, Tobias. It looks like a Skype call, so if that is you, welcome to the show.
Hello, Christie. Hello, Tobias. This is Russ Duff Jr.
Yes.
Yes, Louie.
Look, this is Russ Duff Jr. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to tell you. This is Russ Duff Jr.
All right, Russ. Please continue.
Look, Tobias, my question is, how do you know when an angel is a real angel? Because there was this guy just walking around my house in white robes, and he turned out to be a pervert peeking in on me as I got dressed. And,
did he have a red thong?
I didn't go that far because I immediately got my rifle and I shot him in the face.
God bless you, my son.
Yes.
That is the right approach, yes.
A red thong and chains and boots, right, Louis? I mean, Russ?
You have to pay extra for that, Russ.
Look, excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't know what game you're trying to get at, Tobias. Maybe you're just in it for the money, but in the book of...
I'm in it for the funny... I'm in it for the... Are you in it for the funny and the money? Yeah, both.
Yeah. In the book of Deuteronomy, it says, Russ Duff Jr. shall shoot you in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All
you
right,
have
you have a real question?
Yes.
That is the question.
This is Russ Duff Jr. I keep telling you this, Russ Duff Jr. When I like to make love to my girlfriend, when I'm about to finish, I like to throw a whole bunch of tadpoles in the bed, so that way she thinks they are enlarged sperm. All right, anyways, have a good night, everybody. Stay blessed.
All right, that's Russ Duff Jr. Tobias, any thoughts?
Well, Russ has not quite soul retrieved that piece of himself, obviously, and Russ still has some work to do to retrieve Russ Duff Jr. from whatever place he is in. But yes, it's a good question. You must learn to discern. Learn to discern. And you do that by learning to feel through your solar plexus and through your heart. And then you won't have any red-thonged pervert angels in big white robes showing up at your house. Or if they do, you'll simply enjoy realizing what they are. So, yeah, learn to discern. It's a good question. How do you tell the real from the unreal? You have to not go by...
I'm sorry, Tobias. It's that time. So tell us how we can learn to discern when we come back from this short break. Stay tuned. Tobias Lars here on Truth Brigade Radio. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. This is the last segment with our special guest tonight, Tobias Lars, author of Listening to the Sun and creator of InnerBodyAwakening.com. That's InnerBodyAwakening.com. But Tobias, few short minutes left. So how can we learn to discern?
And just like when you tune in a radio station, you want to be tuned in. And really, our spinal column and our brain and our whole energetic system is like a big receiver. We are an antenna, if you will, to receiving. And the best way to do it is to be still, become still, and know Source. Be still and know that I am God. And that a breathing technique is very powerful. Direct prayer is always good. But with prayer, remember, we have one mouth and two ears. So you should probably pray for, and then listen twice as long. Mm-hmm. The Inner Body Awakening is very powerful. InnerBodyAwakening.com. I find it's the simplest, concrete, direct experience. And my client today, we were up on the Sedona Red Rocks, and she was feeling, and she is not prone to this stuff. Often I love it when I get clients that I don't know why I'm calling you, but I try to get out of it, but they're very kind of straight, sort of not interested in spiritual weirdness like vortexes or whatever. And when they come to me, I love it the most because that means they're going to get lots of help, Mm-hmm. So she was feeling the rocks, and she's feeling her Dantian, her second chakra, completely releasing and draining these energies into the rocks. She's saying, this is amazing, I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. So a way of connecting with nature is very helpful, but you need to get still. What I did with her is we took some divine breaths, deep divine breaths, and then you get still and learn to sense the inside of yourself. Kingdom of heaven is within. And from that place, once you've tuned your antenna, then if you ask, you can send a very good message. I want to know my angels. I want to interact with them more. If you have an assistant and a personal manager, like Hollywood stars have like 5 people in their posse, well, you got your own posse of angels that want to help you. All of us do. We all have our own assistant team, but we have to direct them. We have to ask. Not always. In emergencies, they show up even if we don't ask. But in everyday life, it seems like we need to ask, and then we can receive the help. And then be willing to, I will notice the little miracles and follow to the best of my ability when I hear a still small voice. Notice the coincidences. And so be willing to ask for it. Say, I want to know you more closely. I want to walk closer with you. I want to exchange with my angels. And then, during the day, when something pops up that kind of rings your ear a little bit, be willing to admit it. When you find when there's an obvious coincidence, be willing to admit it. If you acknowledge it, you get more of it. If you reject it, it stops. But so an interiorizing technique, like feeling your inner body, prayer technique, meditation technique, is very powerful. And then from that place, ask, I want to know you more. I want you to reveal yourself to me in whatever way I'm ready to connect with you. And then be honest and be open for noticing things. Don't have a prejudice about how it should look. It could be a little car. It could be a pair of pants, laying on a floor or a chaparral bush. It could be any. The angels don't see it as big or small. It can be anything that's helping. It can be a job. It can be all kinds of stuff. But it has to do with respectful exchange. You have to acknowledge that it's happening. That lets it happen more.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, Tobias, we just have 2 minutes left. So can you tell us about InnerBodyAwakening.com and how that can help us tune in and decipher the quote-unquote good ones from the bad ones?
Yes. And this is And learning to discern is when you can simply put your attention on your heart and on your solar plexus. Just sort of breathe through your belly. Like your belly is breathing, your solar plexus is breathing. If you learn to feel again, and you can do that while you're talking to people, you're listening with your third ear, you can start discerning, you just get gut feelings, and you can get a really strong system that shows you the real from the unreal. The InnerBodyAwakening.com is one of the simplest ways I've found to actually be able to interiorize, to live and feel your inside energy. And it's we all have an inner body. It is like a 3D hologram of our physical body, except it's perfect without blemishes. And it is what animates our bodies. When it leaves, then the body is what we call dead. So learning to feel it consciously, to notice your inner energy body, and there's simple ways of doing that. This is an ancient technique that's been used by yogis and Qigong masters for thousands of years. But it is so powerful because when you feel your inner energy body, you can't deny it. You know, you can't deny, I'm feeling that.
Yeah,
I have an inner energy body. Thank you, Christie.
Well, thank you, Tobias. Let me,
space.
I don't know if we have enough time for a quick question here, but a comment just came up on the chat, and if you could answer in 30 seconds or less.
Yeah.
It says there are angels that can manifest in this dimension. The ones that do not manifest are protectors of the soul. Are there any hard and fast rules there?
That sounds accurate, feels accurate to me, too. And yes, there's some that stay as protectors of our souls, and others that, yeah, you could say that. I would agree with that. But again, it's much more fluid than our little cataloging system about, we want to catalog everything into. You can only do that. It's very fluid, and there's all kinds of fun energy games going on the other side as well.
Yeah, well, as you always say, it's never either or. It's always both and more. I want to thank you for your time, Tobias, and sharing your wisdom with us here tonight and every Thursday night. Thank you all for joining us tonight. The website, once again, is InnerBodyAwakening.com. Freeman Radio coming up next, so stay tuned. We will see you tomorrow night. Truth Brigade Radio.